infiltrated them. And I was told that they are to have this down between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And with their vehicles not even stopping and be moving. See, you started arresting people now with dangerous weapons. It means that the miscreants who infiltrated them 1 year ago, which shows that the miscreants who infiltrated them 1 year ago and caused a lot of mayhem, a lot of damage, a lot of loss of life now have infiltrated. We need to do that. I was told that the organizers, I called them, they said as at 10 o'clock they have dispatched.
Sir, but I'm one of the protesters.
Huh? The organizers. I don't know you, you don't have any. The organizers.
Quick question.
The organizers.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So, if you say the organizers said they dispatched 10 a.m.,
then
does that mean that other Nigerians don't have the right to protest outside 10 a.m.?
Other Nigerians, this place is not a protesting venue. We have Gani Farm, we have so many parks. This is a business environment.
Where has been labeled protesting venue?
We have, look, you know, we have so many gardens. And I've said it severally. We should be decorum. I've said severally. So if they want to protest, if they want to gather at a place now, like all the gardens, that's a public place. This is not a public place. It's a business environment. It's not a public place. So I've told them, I advise them now, meet the state government that is in charge of the parks and gardens. They will give them where to protect. I go to give them security. They said they are going to Landmark. I give them security. Yesterday, they were at Adeni Jones. I provided them security. They were there. They had a seminar yesterday at Adeni Jones now, 43 Adeni Jones now. I gave them security. So this is what they said they want to do. I said, it's okay, you are free. We can't stop you from moving on vehicle. That means that we are stopping the economy of the state. But keep moving, blare your horns, so wave your flag, even put your, maybe if you have your banner, put it on your vehicle, do anything you want to do. But not stopping and not addressing people.
Can you confirm to us how many of these hoodlums?
I don't know. I don't know now. It's just on. I'm just coming. Once I get that one, I take action. Only 2, I was told, and I directed. Only 2. And I was told that one of them is a journalist. He was not with ID card as at that time. He didn't identify himself. So now that somebody called me identifying, I said she be released. Only 2, to the best of my knowledge. And one was recording. And so they said claim to be a journalist. And I've told my men, anybody recording you, go ahead. We are public servants.
Okay, sir.
If you don't want the heat of the kitchen, get out. If I don't want to be recorded as a public servant now, I go to my house. Because this is not my father's uniform.
We see some
cars
being towed away from
because they are not supposed to stop. They are supposed to keep moving.
But we saw some of them run away. If any vehicle,
they have no reason to stay. No, there was no single gunshot. It was tear gas.
It was a shot. They had the shot.
No, not a gunshot.
They couldn't wait to determine whether tear gas or not.
You said gunshot. Tear gas is open, everybody sees that.
Yeah, but they had
we agree that they must keep moving. They must not stay and address. That's the agreement. So once they have done that, they have violated the agreement. So the vehicle is told now, we didn't pick the vehicle while they are in motion. We pick the vehicle where they abandoned it.
My question
so it's our even duty now, any vehicle that's abandoned now, to take the vehicle for protective custody, so that's not vandalized.
My question precisely is that, how do you determine whether these vehicle owners are protesters
or
they are just motorists?
If they are motorists now, they keep on moving. Vehicles moving.
But we saw some of them run away when they had the shot.
So because of the miscreants that are infiltrated, we need to use maneuvers to get the miscreants. We arrested people now, so with machetes, are they the protesters? They are not. And that's exactly what happened 1 year ago. Are the protesters those that went to kill police? Are the protesters are those that went to the ShopRite now to loot ShopRite? That went to the bank to loot marks? Are the protesters are those that went to MPA and set it ablaze? Are the protesters are those who went to High Court and set High Court ablaze? Not protesters, the miscreants. We should not allow that. Today is a working day. This is economy of the country.
How long will you be here?
So today is a working day. This is economy. And you know the volume of traffic on this axis. After 2 minutes, the vehicle breaks down now, you know the backlog. So because of that, you can't allow that to happen. They said they want to protest. It's their right. They've gone on that one now. They have seminars, so all this, no problem. But the miscreants now have taken over. I called Tokpe, who is one of their leaders, who is representing the youth at the tribunal. He said as at 10 o'clock they have left. I can quote him. I discussed with Mr. Femi Falana, and he said they are going to have indoor. I can quote him.
But these people claim not to have any leader. So
that's the problem. If you don't have leader, now who do you are responsible? How can you be organizing something you don't have leader? How can you organize something? Because they don't have leader, that means that they are not organized. We must have a leader. I'm the leader of the policemen in Lagos State. Anything happens to my policemen now, I'll be held accountable. If they don't have a leader, that is where they create lacuna for miscreants to infiltrate them. They must have a leader. I told them, you want to go on protest, it's your right to go on protest. But let us, just a minute, let us work together. From which point to which point? At one time to one time. What do you want it to do? Is there anything to identify your members? It was already banned. You say you are protesting 1 year remembrance. If you put a band on your wrist, we know your member. If you have a T-shirt, you know their member. Anybody who doesn't have that one now means there's a miscreant. So that's exactly. So this is what we are talking about. Not that they cannot go on, but let us have where. Because where people's right starts, A's right start, where B ends on. So emergency, this is the road.
Commissioner of Police, you have just spoken about... Commissioner of Police...
We shall continue to be here.
So you have just spoken about...
We shall continue to be here until normalcy is restored.
Commissioner, you have just spoken about ways to identify certain protesters. Now, you've said that some of them should wear,
No, I just suggested.
I know that you're suggesting that, but there are people that came here for peaceful protest and were picked up. Don't you feel that if they had done that, it would have been easy for them to just pick them up and identify them as protesters and pick them up?
Somebody should be held accountable. Somebody mobilize them in. They should have means of identifying. See, all the policemen now, we have uniform. That's identification. You now, your identification now is your tool of work. We've seen this one now, it's obvious identification. We know you. You don't need to put on jacket. So if they are organized, if they have a leadership now, that can be now, can I tell that those coming to do the protest, this is what we use to identify them. Anybody outside this one now is not our member.
Okay, but if we don't have that, how do we begin to tell the difference between protesters and people that are there to infiltrate the protest? Because the tear gas is not going to be able to tell who is a protester and who is a miscreant.
That's why that's why I told them now, they don't have an agreed leadership. One, there's no leadership. Even the family, the father is the head of the family. Where they are the demise of the father, the mother takes over. So there must be a leader who should be held accountable, who we are going to tell them these are the ways we have agreed to work. So now I called them, I spoke to the one that represented the youth at the tribunal. And he said as at 10 o'clock they departed. I haven't got information that they are moving to a Lausa secretariat. But he told me pointedly that they are not going to anywhere. They are returned back to their houses. I haven't told me they are returned back to their houses. And what they posted on the social media is between 8 and 10. Now they posted. So on between 8 and 10. So and they said they are returned back to their houses. So now normalcy has been returned.
So are you trying to say that the the Lagos State police is okay with people coming out to protest for their fundamental human rights? They have no problem as long as it is within the 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. confines as they originally agreed?
Not within the 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. within the ambit of the law.
Commissioner.
So I'm not giving anybody any time.
Commissioner.
They're within the ambit of the law. If they choose to protest between 8 and 10, that's their own decision. I don't dictate time, but must be within the ambit of the law. Because where Mr. A's right starts is where Mr. A's ends. That's it.
Bring Nigerian flag. And I was walking down to cross this way to go to my money. And I just collected, they just asked me to come here. They collected my phone.
And they attacked you in any way? Did they do anything?
No, they just said she come inside. They took my phone.
No mic.
No mic.
Because I was running because of that.
You're watching Arise News Channel, and we're continuing our live coverage of the 1-year anniversary of the EndSARS protest at the Lekki toll gate here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. And some of the images you're seeing right now are members of the press. Of course, Arise News are chatting to some of those who are arrested at the venue. Let's listen in.
They tell you why you should come in, or do you know
They
where you're
said
going
the time they gave the protester is finished. That they were supposed to end by 10.
At what time was this, please? At what time did this happen?
Maybe like 11, this is 11:25, like 10 past 11.
5, 10 past.
Because I've been here for over like 15-20 minutes.
So how many? Well, so just because we were passing out.
I was walking, yes. And they gave me a flag. I don't know.
Okay, they gave you a flag.
The conductor gave me flag to walk and passed.
Okay.
They just asked me to come here. They collected my 2 phones. What do you say? Blessing.
Blessing what? Sorry, please, what's your profession?
Yes, we're live to you from the Lekki toll gate in downtown Lagos, a very highbrow part of the Nigeria's commercial capital. Today marks 1 year anniversary of EndSARS, and you see those live images coming through from the police. Some protesters, passers-by who ostensibly been arrested and put in that police custody at the venue. We're covering that with our team on the ground this morning and all through today, including interviews live on the ground and in the studios with all our analysts going over this particular day exactly a year ago today, the 20th of October. Now, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the state, says Nigerian youths have various reasons to demand for better life and future. He spoke on Tuesday at a symposium organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Social Development, which has the theme, Rebuilding for Greatness, Peaceful Conflict Resolution, and that was held in Ikeja, the state capital. Now, a group, the Alliance of Business and Professional Women, has launched a transformational initiative aimed at supporting the youth to create the Nigeria we all desire. This is according to the chairman of APBW Governance Board, Tony Sonny. This movement, the Youth Connect Initiative, is birthed on the first anniversary of an epochal event in the history of our dear nation. The project was designed to prepare underemployed young men and women from disadvantaged communities for the job market, with an emphasis on technology, connecting them to job opportunities while inspiring them to undertake their civic responsibilities. Gospel Obele is an economist, and he joins me now for more on this particular development and to speak to some of the stories. Governor Sanwo-Olu said the demand for a better life by the youth of Nigeria is heightened by their inability to live and prosper due to prevailing socio-economic issues. What is the answer to overcoming these issues listed by the Lagos State?
All right, good morning, Dawson. Thank you for having me today. Yes, it's quite interesting to see that there's some form of commitment from the state government and even at the federal level to solve unemployment, as it were, of so many policies, across this. But to a large extent, we've seen that haven't yielded much significant results. Youth unemployment still stands at, and underemployment stands at 1%, and then overall employment 3%. All right, so it's
very quickly, just sorry, Gospel Obele, we quickly cut in there. We're watching live images. Gospel Obele, just a quick second, we'll get back to you. But right now, we're seeing live images, a live transmission of the police trying to drag in one of the protesters into their custody. And that is the picture, the images you see now. This is live. Our RISE correspondent and the team are on the ground. The police are speaking to each other. We're seeing members of the press there, and the young man that we saw there is being dragged on the ground by members of the security who are present at the Lekki toll gate in downtown Lagos. He's been questioned. Listen.
Stand up. Please, sir. I'm listening. Please, I don't want to enter this thing. Stand up. I don't want to enter this thing. My family have never entered it. I don't need to have problem. Stand up. Please, sir. Stand up. Please, sir. Stand up now. I will stand up, please, sir. I don't want to enter this thing, please. Please, oh. I'm a Uganda. I'm going to help you. I'm going to make me come back. That's the first one. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I do now. That's my car now. I do not follow that. That's why I came back. I'm a Uber guy. You're not the line. God punish you. Uber with it. Who's there inside? Leave me now. Have you got to check my house first? I'm going to enter like that. Where's your card? Without that, you say your friend will not punish you. Now, the cost me my me. I'm leaving my leg. So, as you can see, the police officers are trying. So, what were you doing?
Did you stab someone? What do you want? Did you stab someone? Did you stab someone?
And the guy to run. So I have to come back to come and pick my car. And they started pushing me. What is this red thing on your face? What did they spray on? So what's the other one? Mike, where's the other one? I don't know.
Did you stab someone? Did you truly stab someone? Did you truly stab someone?
Did you shoot someone?
Did you stab someone knife? With knife?
I'm not even at the protest ground. I was just coming home. Who is the person holding you? Help me. What is your name? I don't have anybody. I'm a Uber driver. Where's your car? Okay, it's a bit of
We're live at the Lekki toll gate, the venue of the one-year EndSARS protest in downtown Lagos. We're watching very disturbing images of security agents trying to, who have arrested a gentleman who was described as one of the protesters. After the time given to the protest had ended, it was being forced by the various security men to go into the Black Maria, which is the detention vehicle that was brought by security agencies to the venue. We have a few individuals already in the vehicle. The gentleman had claimed that he was an Uber driver. That's what he claimed, and he claimed he had a vehicle nearby. There are questions being asked why he was not in his vehicle at the time of his arrest, and is holding what looks like an automobile car key and his mobile phone. The security agents have tried severally to get him into the vehicle, but let's listen in.
That thing they point in my face is affecting me, please.
Why did they think you stabbed?
Madam, I explained to you that I'm a Uber guy. I can open my...
Show us. Give us evidence that that's why you were here.
Yeah, give us evidence.
Let's see your trick.
This is my house.
Show us. Can't see it.
You are not online.
You are not online?
You are not online.
Yes, I've been offline since last. Run from that shooting. Please.
So what did you come back to do?
I left my car and ran when they said they are shooting. Even with the client I picked. So I'm coming back that, okay, let me come and pick my car, that everything has come down. That's why those guys say, okay, I should go and meet the authority where they carry my car to.
Where did you leave your car?
Eh?
Where did you leave your car?
I left when they said they are shooting. And at that junction, back there. It was back there. If my car is not there, that's why I came.
Okay, go.
For me to get my car.
Go now.
My car is going, no more there. I can't find my car.
Which car you got? Let us save your life.
What were you doing? Tell us what happened.
Sorry, I'm a Uber guy. So when I was coming with the trip on, so I don't hear, they are shooting, Even with the client I carried,
Yes.
you have to come down. I too have to just leave my car, lock it.
Yes.
This is my key.
Were you
And
part
this
of
is
the
my app.
protest?
I'm not, what's my own with protest?
Did you attack anyone?
No.
What did they tell you when they tried to put you in the car the first time?
They tell me my car, I will get my car somewhere, but they want to put me that, and I will never enter that thing because I'm not a thief.
So it looks like, have they left you alone now? Are you free to go?
Like I will have to go because maybe I'll come back for my car. Because they took some car away.
What type of injuries did you suffer? Did they hurt you in any way? Were you beaten?
It's just the tear gas.
How are you feeling now? We saw that it was directly put into your eyes. How are you feeling now?
Madam, I'm exhausted. No power again. Please.
What's the name of your car?
It's a Corolla. Tinted green Corolla.
Sorry, please, what's the name?
AGL 786 GW. Adedotun Clement. Adedotun.
Níbo lẹ ń lọ, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Ẹ sọ lédè Yorùbá káwọn èèyàn gbọ́. Ẹ sọ lédè Yorùbá, ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́.
As I was coming.
Ẹ sọ ní Yorùbá.
Tí mo ṣe ń bọ̀, mo rí tán shoot. Èmi dẹ̀ rẹ̀ ń bà lè lu. Mo gbéyàn.
You don't need it
So
again.
then he any guy, duro, so I have to park. So immediately I park.
Yeah, Arise News channel is covering the one-year anniversary of the EndSARS protest, both here in Lagos at the Lekki toll gate as well as in Abuja. Right now, protesters, according to our correspondents from Abuja, the country's political capital, protesters are being dispersed in Abuja while the security agents are staying put at those locations. We're on standby. We'll go live to Abuja anytime within the hour and throughout the day. We're covering this from Nigeria's two important capitals, Lagos and Abuja as well. Let's come back to Lagos HQ studios here. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu joins me live here on GBR for more on this development. Chika, from the business side of things, this is a painful reminder of the need to have insurance, but before that, the human element comes in first with those brutal force the police are using there to drag the gentleman on the ground. He's been brutalized and he's been asked questions by members of the press. What's your take?
These pictures do not represent us very well, the country very well. And it's very sad that even at this time, in the century, we are seizing this kind of acts or actions to, moderate behavior. You know what the issue today represents. It represents the one-year anniversary of the EndSARS protest. You asked me a question which is very pertinent. That 1 year ago, a lot of things happened. A protest that was going peacefully suddenly turned, very violent and led to the destruction of many properties, both private and the government people. A lot of individuals lost their properties. I do recall that, especially small businesses too, in those malls and on those on the road. And I do recall that then I talked about it. I said that most of the things that happen are actually insurable, and but Nigerians with insurance penetration at less than 1%, it is going to be a tough one for the country. I do recall also that we brought the Nigerian Insurance Association president into the studio that time, and I said this presents an opportunity for the insurance industry to, showcase what the importance of insurance. Because in my studies, in the different fora that I've spoken to insurance people, I've told them one of the major issues has been the lack of trust between the citizens and insurance companies historically. Because insurance is done normally at good times. When you are launching your house, when you're buying your new car, but the claims come when at the sad times, when your car is stolen or when there's a fire in your house. And those sad times are those times when a lot of insurance companies will just tell you that you have not seen at the paragraph 5 and line 6 and of the policy, which says that this is, and suddenly, after paying premiums for almost many months, when the claims come, they don't pay you any claims. And that permeated the behavior of a lot of insurance companies And a lot of people have lost trust in that respect and said, okay, if that's the case, let's trust in God, you know. And so a lot of Nigerians, therefore, either believe in God or do self-insurance, as the case may be, or no insurance at all. You see, the claims, insurance companies industry said about 20 billion in claims. Well, I have a feeling that this will be more on the corporate side than a lot of the SMEs. A lot of the SMEs didn't insure.
If we add what will come on the side of the government of Lagos State, this figure is definitely much higher than.
If you recall, remember the number of buses they were burned.
Brand new
buses. Remember the number of police stations that were also burned.
Yes, the former Supreme Court.
Yeah, the High Court, even the High Court. Indeed, it affected one case that I'm involved in. The case has to start from the beginning again. You know, the case was almost reaching for judgment. That was what we were waiting for. Now we have to start from beginning again. As the case,
critical documents were lost, burnt, equipment, you know, and things like that.
Everybody was really nearly a loser in that, in the fracas. And
like you said, what started as a peaceful, genuine protests by youth and other individuals, by the
way, based on listed demands.
Infraction, yes, that a section of the police, which are SARS back then, were engaging in extrajudicial issues, not just in Lagos, but across the country.
They were not proven wrong, because you heard the testimonies. We covered a lot of them.
Yes.
The testimonies in the...
All through the past year, yes.
Yeah, the testimonies at the
public hearing.
Public hearings. You heard... Some of the testimonies that we heard there were like heart-rending and heartbreaking. And he couldn't think of man's inhumanity to fellow man in those respects. And so it's a sore point for our nation. And I think that greater wisdom is required, even down the line, 1 year down the line, to handle this. These pictures do not speak well for us. You know how it is. This would have reached every channel in the whole world now, looking at police brutality, which, you know, I think is substantially unwarranted.
1 year on, what do you think needs to change from governance side or point of view?
I mean, look at what's happening. You know, there's so much anger in the land. Youth unemployment, you know, is almost at more than 40%. We're the poverty capital of the world. Inflation at 16-17%.
Our misery index.
You know, misery index, you know, up there. And so you find, you know, I don't know of you, but, you know, we are buffeted. A lot of people now who are meal providers, provide meal for livelihood for a lot of people now. You send people to the market now, you know, it's always a sad moment when lists are compiled for going to the market, because you find that prices are double. Look at gas, for example. The 7 kg gas has, you know, moved from 4,000 naira to, you know, 10,000 naira now. We're going to get to December by 12,000 naira. And people, therefore, are dangerously, you know, buying.
So within just 12 months
yeah,
of even the EndSARS protests, average cost of living, the quality of life, the quality of transportation, the quality of electricity, the basic human social development index.
I mean, the human index is the human development index for Nigeria is tanking. You know, unemployment capital of the world, poverty capital of the world. We are still on youth unemployment up there in the roof.
My question again, I come back. What needs to change, and very quickly moving forward, because this is the first anniversary. Next year, we're going to be here in another 12 months having this same conversation.
The governors were made to be at the set levels, made to be the anchor people for restitution and resolution of some of these problems, following the commissions they set up. I think I was reading the press yesterday that I think the Lagos State government, the commission for the one for Lagos State, going to restitute for about 70 people, I think, totaling about 400 and something million naira. And they had to like almost stop the panel abruptly, you know. So many things are still, you know, happening. Hanging there. Every day, the change that we're expecting has not happened, because every day, you know, what the response from authorities is faster now. Because each time, every day now you see police brutality, and then the social media is very strong, powerful, and it brought the attention of the authorities. These days they
Well, here
respond.
is the government, just a few days. There was last week, the National Economic Council, chaired by Mr. Vice President, issued a statement and said, look, the protests to mark the one-year anniversary of the EndSARS scheduled for today they were advised, organizers were advised not to hold it. According to the statement issued at the end of the NEC last week, was that there are other legitimate means of speaking and engaging the government, and that this protest to mark the one-year anniversary should not have held. What's your view on that? Do you think all the issues have well been resolved? Do you think the government had really engaged 1 year on?
You know, we are lastminute.com country. That's why we prepare for Olympics, 2 weeks to Olympics beginning. You know, we don't chest things. So I'm not here to pontificate about the fundamental human rights. You know, but, just if I triangulate a little around it, I think people have the right to protest, and express themselves. That's one of the hallmarks of democracy. Now, if you say that the other counter-protests, then deroute them, find alternative route. You guys be in Ikorodu Road, this will be on this place, and then you provide, security cover for them. But people must express themselves. Now, once this kind of thing happens, where you're stopping people from expressing themselves and stuff like that, people are going to go underground and do more dangerous things. For me, that's my little take on this. The issues have not been resolved.
The issues of the EndSARS protest or the wider issue?
I was looking through a checklist prepared by Budget, and a couple of them had some tick on them. They said somewhat, some done. One of the ones they don't know anything about. Remember, I was police welfare. Remember, police welfare?
Yes, was on the list.
I have not seen total transformation of the barracks. Where the police people live.
And where they work.
Because something tells me that an angry person with a gun can be very dangerous. I mean, if you live in those kind of places and in the morning...
Angry, frustrated?
Underpaid, everybody is...
And it's weaponized.
Yeah, weaponized.
Legally speaking.
Everybody's an enemy, and then you're not a rain. And then some people insult you. The things ordinarily that you can take, accommodate, you will not, you're just like a hot button that's pressed for the nuclear marine to explode.
Keep your fingers off.
Yeah. So I think the welfare of police, we don't know, we haven't heard so much about that. The barracks where they live, the salaries and competition, I don't think we've heard so much about that. Unless it's been done, in a secret, and maybe they
have been made public.
But that has to also be addressed. But as I said before, the issue of police brutality, wherever it has been pointed out now and brought attention authorities always acted swiftly.
We've spoken about some of the socio-economic conditions, but again, in terms of security of lives and property, broadly speaking, over the last 1 year, across the country, the spate of killings and all of that hadn't really changed as well. So it's not only the police that are frustrated. Ordinary Nigerians every day live in fear, and with this consciousness at the back of their mind that we don't know what happening tomorrow.
It's a tragedy, because I do a lot of traveling myself, and first of all, I guess, the airlines are getting from this. The airlines are getting from this because a lot of road journeys now are limited, and so you get to the airport sometimes and say, okay, take me on this car hire, and they tell you they're not going to go because those routes are not safe, and you start wondering, where we are headed. We are holding meetings in some places in the country. You're very worried about what will happen. Somebody can just get in there and start shooting. That's one of them that happened.
Very worrying, very situations on a daily basis. Chikambonu, Arise Business Analyst, thank you so much. Let's quickly get back live to the Lekki toll gate in downtown here in Lagos, where Adefemi Akinsanya, one of our correspondents, is standing by to bring us up to speed over the last few minutes, what she's landing on the ground and what we're covering as far as the 1 year anniversary of the EndSARS protest in Lagos is concerned. Adefemi, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Bosun. Well, as you can see here, the protests have largely died down, but it wasn't organic dying down. It wasn't people saying, okay, let's go home. The catalyst of people leaving the grounds here was tear gas. Police deployed tear gas, and that's what dispersed the crowds. And worse, while we were still on the streets, we saw an example of the very police brutality that people are protesting against. There was a gentleman who claimed to be an Uber driver who said that he had to leave his vehicle because of the traffic, and on his way going back to the vehicle, he was apprehended by police. They forcibly tried to take him to the vehicle, and he resisted with all of his might not to go into the car. That's when we started recording. He was slapped, an open hand slapped, and then he was sprayed multiple times with pepper spray and tear gas directly into his eye. If that wasn't bad enough, the Arise crew has been the victim of direct threats. We've been told directly to leave here because we are a target. The police have told Arise News to leave the grounds of the Lekki toll gate because we are a target. And if that isn't the irony of what we're doing here today, I don't know what else to tell you. Honestly, we all came here today to do our jobs. We heard that there was going to be a car procession. There was, and we covered it. Thereafter, more people came onto the streets and we covered it. That's our job. We saw examples of police brutality. We recorded. That's our job. We saw people being detained in their vehicles. We asked them questions. That's our job. So for us to be here now and being the direct victims of threats, it's heartbreaking. But aside from that, as you can see, there's still a police presence, still a security presence, and it goes without saying that these people are heavily armed. Not just with firearms, indeed, with tear gas canisters. Just across the street, you've got the Commissioner of Police.
Adefemi.
Those threatening messages have come directly from that direction. Yes, Bosun.
Yes, Adefemi, part of what is happening where you are now, it looks like there's a free movement, some form of vehicular movement, and the part of the toll gate facility has been opened for some form of vehicular traffic, which the police has been ensuring. How do you see other people who just going back very quietly and minding their business as they move on?
Absolutely. I mean, most of the people here now that you're seeing are journalists and members of the press. And then, of course, the traffic on the streets has slowly gone back to normal. We were here from around 7 a.m. this morning, and the roads were replicant of that time, not much going on. But when the procession started, we were able to see a lot more people on the grounds. That's when we started to see the animated pictures of cars in unison joining the commemorative protest. We were able to identify those vehicles with the flag, the Nigerian flags. That's how we knew that they were part of the procession. Now that did grow a bit hard. That presence grew and grew and grew to what we were seeing, some carnival-like protests on the streets. That is what grew and grew. And then finally, those crowds were dispersed with the deploying of tear gas. That's what cleared everybody, and that's where those threats started coming in. Now, just behind me, we've got the Commissioner of Police here. He has been here for a few minutes talking to the journalists, addressing the crowd. We'll take a quick listen into here to see if there's anything significant he's saying.
Sir, would you say you're satisfied with the conduct of your officers so far in controlling?
Well, so far, the results in terms of operation that they have now, I'm satisfied with it.
Just a second, Bosun. I do want to put a question to the Commissioner of Police.
One of that is that they must protect the life and property of all journalists. None of them should go beyond our rules of engagement. Any journalist is free to record you, but don't speak.
Commissioner, you said every journalist is free, but Arise News have been direct threats.
So that's what happened. So those have been arrested now. Once they've been identified, I've started releasing them. Anybody arrested?
Well, for those who have been arrested, Bosun,
yes,
they've been taken to an unknown location. We're unaware at this point where specifically they are. The arrest did start quite early, and they've continued just across the street.
There are areas that are designated to.
Yes, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police is still, Dumosu is still speaking to members of the press, and he says the pressmen are allowed, the journalists are allowed to do their job as long as they stay within the rules of engagement. So let's listen in, everyone.
Make sure that so they get approval and use the place. We give them security. but not this is a private place for all members of the public going up and down. So that's it. Somebody could be caught up in this while going for medical attention, could be caught up in this when going for business attention or business appointment, be caught up in this now, so when being attacked. So there could be fire accident anywhere. And that person who is rushing the wife to hospital for medical attention, who is taking somebody to hospital, and the road is blocked, out of annoyance, out of human anger, you could react and something could happen. That's why I keep on telling them. And if you want to do that, let us know who are your members. What the means of identification. If it's ordinary band in the hand, let us know. You just put band here now, we know. Everybody with the band is a member. If you put on a t-shirt, let us know. If it's a pickup, you put on. If the color is red, white, or green, let us know. So anybody outside that will be able to differentiate those ones from those who are coming to cash in on that and create mayhem. That's just what's on the ground. And so far, so good. We thank God. So everything is under control. And no single life lost. So no miscreant has been brutalized, as far as I'm concerned.
Commissioner.
I don't know. Well, maybe about 2 so far, but I don't know. But at the end of the exercise, we'll be able to have full account. But for now, if I tell you 10 people, 3 people, 4 people, all I know that 2 people have been arrested now with weapons with catches, and 1 officer has been stabbed now, but I don't know the actual number. So no, you know those who have been identified, we're releasing them. It's at the end of that one that we now know how many people in our custody. We should have receipts now to, according to law.
Commissioner, about the people who have already been... You are not taller than me, sir. You are not. You're not. Sir, with the people who have already been detained, all of them have protested innocence. And I'm sure you won't be happy with the scenes that we saw with the gentleman who claimed to be an Uber driver being slapped by members of your force, being pepper sprayed and tear gas directly into his eyes. A lot of brute force, the show of police brutality that we shouldn't be seeing here. Can we ask on how we can follow up on the people who've been arrested? And again, I remind you, all of them say that they are not people who have been correctly accused. All of them have been protesting their innocence.
Thank you very much. Even if a man robber is arrested robbing, they will still claim that it was not. The evidence will prove. This place is not where people normally trek. You've seen the place. It's not the marketplace where people coming out to buy and sell. It is only for vehicular movement up and down. So if somebody along that, we discover that some miscreants have infiltrated those who organize this protest. Is that right? And I spoke with them. Let us just be on the same synergy. What is the synergy? You want to protest from one place to another. You want to move from point A to point B, let us know. We give you security. You call it needs to be secured. It's your fundamental human right to be secured. So now, so let us know from one point to one point. Is there any means of identification of your members? Maybe a t-shirt, maybe a face cap, so maybe a color something, so maybe a band to show that, let us know. So that miscreant is not coming. So now if somebody, and before we use minimum force to send the miscreants away, I called the organizer, the one I know, and he told me at 11:15, he said that at 10 o'clock, they've gone back to their houses. Anybody remaining on the ground now is no more people demobilized out.
Commissioner, let me ask you this.
And that is why.
You can see us here standing for you. I've got a right microphone in my hand. We are members of the press. We too were threatened. We were told that we were direct threats and we should leave this place from members of your force.
That one is so an overzealousness and a Judas among us. I specifically warned them and I told them, I directed them that nobody, no journalist, no media practitioner should be harassed. And nobody should be prevented from recording the activities. Because you are public servants. If you don't want the heat of the kitchen, get out of it. If you don't want to be criticized, you don't want to be abused now, you don't want people now to, so that, don't do the job. I keep on saying it. The uniform I'm putting on is not my father said, a duty uniform. You people pay for it. So that I keep on telling them. But you know in every family there will be a Judas. Your behavior differs from mine. The way you react to one thing or the other will not be the same at the same time. But what you have to do is that anybody that goes outside our professional calling, anybody that goes outside our rules of engagement, so we have enough disciplinary procedure to take care of them, and we are not be sparing them.
Commissioner, my final question is flying a drone against your rules of engagement. We did fly a drone and we were directly harassed by members of your force because we flew a drone.
Any harassment given to you, my apologies. Any harassment.
So we were in fact allowed to fly a drone?
So any harassment given to you is an apology. So it is just a misbehavior of 1 or 2 Judas among us. And we take action. Because if we have to do that with the leaders, or at least you have the number of policemen that we have here. If it's our normal behavior, almost all of them will have brutalized everybody. But in the family, somebody can do that. However, that has done that, we identify now necessary action will be taken. Any tool that the journalists need to use in order to cover and do his professional calling now is allowed. So we have done anything in that area, and that is out of ignorance, out of inexperience, so out of his own youthful exuberance now, so out of his own professional calling now misbehaves, we take action. So on their behalf, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it.
Commissioner. Police Kibedumusu has been speaking with members of the press, and towards the end of that briefing, informal briefing as it were, speaking to Adefemi Akisanya, our rights correspondent on the ground, speaking to the police, and they are assured that all journalists and the members of the media are allowed to do their job. Whatever equipment they've brought to the location will be allowed to be deployed, including drones for the coverage and reporting. He actually publicly apologized to Arise News for some officers or men who had earlier been reportedly harassed official Arise newsmen on the ground. We're going straight to Abuja studios locations. Amaka, about the Abuja protest, the venue of the protest in Abuja. We're going live to Nigeria's political capital now to continue this very extensive coverage of 1 year anniversary of the EndSARS protest. Lekon and Amaka on the ground at the venue in Abuja. Bring us up to speed right now. What we heard earlier was that the police had dispersed some of the protesters, but it looks like behind you, members of the press, including yourself, are still on the ground. Bring us up to speed very quickly on this.
Okay, good to be back. So what happened actually was members of the Nigerian police dispersed protesters, and the protesters went on a march, and they went from the Unity Fountain to Wuse, and then they came back to the Unity Fountain to complete their protest. So what is going on now is protesters are starting to disperse, and the information being given is that they will reconvene by 5 p.m. for a candlelight session. That is what is happening here in Abuja.
Right. And of course, generally what we've seen here in terms of the EndSARS protest or the pro-EndSARS protest is the fact that we've seen everything largely peaceful, with the members of the security forces from the Nigerian police to the DSS, both inside the Unity Fountain. They've been really cooperative with the protesters, and even outside of the building as well. I do know that when they went to the National Assembly and even all the way to some other parts of the Federal Capital Territory, they had police escort. So not a lot of skirmishes, except for one or two within the protesters themselves. But in terms of you seeing protesters against the security forces, that did not happen here in the FCT. At least that's for what we have seen so far. But as you can see just behind us, most visible members, especially their leaders, have actually left the venue. And just like Lekon says, they've actually been informed to converge here again much later at about 5 p.m. for a candlelight procession, so that way they can actually commemorate the alleged killings of those who have actually died, not just due to the EndSARS protest, but against police brutality generally in the country.
Thank you very much for bringing us up to speed. We expect our team to remain on the ground at 5 o'clock in the evening to follow this through here on Arise News channel. You're watching Arise News. I am Bosin Amafai. That's your global business report. Stay tuned to Arise News.